There was a time Ford North America always was the one that built the big engines, the big cars. They had all the big guns with them in North America. They were in fact film stars. I call them film stars because their cars are just always starred in films. Every time you watch an American movie, you are sure to see a Ford car. Whereas Ford Europe cars were more EU road oriented, and that also includes dimensions, so the sizes, the width, the length and everything. That did have an advantage, but that also had a disadvantage. The advantage Ford had with Ford Europe was that they were building cars that were road friendly for EU standards, the European market standards, and that was good. They had success in that fashion, and also they saw massive success in the United Kingdom and as well as in Ireland, and they still to this very day have massive popularity over there. However, the disadvantage it created was that Ford Europe was sort of left on its own. It had to find its own identity. There was a time, like they were just very... Identity issue was there, and also reliability issues were there, and it was just quality issues. There was a time Ford Europe was isolated from Ford America. It's as if the two didn't have anything in common, but which is ironic because Ford North America owns Ford Europe. However, I'm very proud to tell you all that today those differences have been removed. The rift between Ford North America and Ford Europe has been shortened. Now there's no longer a big rift between the two. Now I'm very proud to tell you all that Ford Europe and Ford North America are building cars that are rich with identity and that have so much in common. Now over here is the Ford Puma, but I'm going to tell you all something very important. This is not the first time Ford did the Puma, as a matter of fact, using this name, the model name, Puma. There was a point in the early 2000s when Ford had a small coupe that goes by the name Ford Puma. This Ford Puma costs 26,000 euros. Is this good value for money or not? We're gonna find out in a moment, everyone. Let's get down with this review right now. Over here is a 1-liter petrol engine. How amazing is that, everyone? Very economic, and especially for a crossover of this size, a 1-liter engine. Wow, that's very economic. And also, rest assured, the engine has a lot of punch to it, because I just saw it's a 92 kilowatt 1-liter engine. Very fast. And also, this is an ST line, so you don't need to worry. Over here is the engine of the Ford Puma. And now remember earlier I've stated to you all that this Ford Puma is based on the same platform as the Ford Fiesta. Well, here's a prominent evidence. So do you notice something about the engine, first of all? Right, well, the first thing you're going to notice about the engine is that it looks ever so slightly buried. Like, it doesn't look like it's on the equal level of this edge right here and this end right here. So basically, they maintain the same level of elevation as they did in the Ford Fiesta. Like, maybe the dimensions of this Ford Puma is taller. It's taller than the Ford Fiesta, which is why the engine looks like it's at a level upper than it would be in the Ford Fiesta. But if you look carefully at the way things are arranged, if you notice this elevation right here, this extended part, this extension is done deliberately so that it can reach the mechanisms down there. And then also if you look carefully right here, see, there's some elevations, some extension going on. Like, I believe this was the original part of the Ford Fiesta. Look at those headlights, everyone. Looks very nice. In fact, if you look at this Ford Puma from here, this angle, like, if you're looking at this for the first time from this angle, you would mistake this car for something sport, like a sports car or a supercar or something, because just look at the way they've designed the bonnet. I mean, this is so good. And I should remind you all that this is the ST line of the Ford Puma, the sport line. So it doesn't surprise me the presence of all the sporty kit, including that extension down there. I like how you get a black trim down there at the bottom of the door, and the side design is nice and round edged. Very good. Very nice. It's aerodynamic, and I love this. Now, most brands tend to... Now, there's some brands who go differently about aerodynamic designs. Some of them think it's about straight lines everywhere. But Ford decided to maintain a sort of round edge design. Like, just nice and simple. And very Ford-ish, you know, to maintain the Ford identity. And I really, really respect that. You get keyless entry, everyone, and you do get blind spot monitoring for those of you who are safety cautious. Now, I also have to say the design of the wheel of this Ford Puma is very nice. I like the style of it. It looks, well, I mean, for the nature of this Ford Puma, it's an ST line, so therefore it has a very sporty design to it. And when I say sporty, I mean this is Ford's profession, everyone. They grew from this sort of design, and it came directly from the Ford Mustang. That's what they were famed for back in North America. It's only in the mid-2010s they've introduced the Ford Mustang to the European market. So that's why I'm seeing a lot of Ford Mustang influence in most Ford cars of today, especially in Europe. And it's right here. I like the two-tone color they have. So over here you have the black alloy, and then over here I like how you have the silver alloy on top. Now over here I like the rear of the Ford Puma. It looks very nice. I like how they've put the badge individually. I like how they put the model name individually over here. Very good. Puma in black. That's very nice. Like most brands would often do it in chrome or in white, but over here Ford has decided to put it in black. Makes it look very sporty and gives it a rather Ford Mustang vibe. Very nice. And because this is an ST line, you are going to be proudly reminded that with this wonderful exhaust down there. So whilst exploring the exterior of this Ford Puma, I was very impressed, guys. I was very impressed, and I'm very happy with how Ford has blended well, actually, Ford has kind of made a crossover SUV look appealing than ever, and it's as if they've blended a B-segment car with a sports car with a crossover SUV. Basically, a B-segment plus a sports car plus a crossover SUV equals to this Ford Puma. I mean, there's some very strong sportiness about them, and Ford kind of is famous for its muscle design, this muscle car design. Like, I really am impressed with the design right here. But I also noticed some questionable aspects about the exterior of this Ford Puma. And the first questionable aspect I'd like to point out is that despite this part not being an air vent, this part is actually an air vent, guys. So I just wonder, then why would you have this part? Like, wouldn't it be better to have some lighting instead? Another questionable aspect I've noticed is that this has to be the first time I've ever seen the rear reflectors so big and conspicuous. And now this part is not really questionable, but it's just my opinion. And what I would have wished was if there were two exhausts for the rear, because you have this beautiful elevation going on right here and right there. And then under this elevation, you have an actual exhaust that's so good. But then at the other side, you have nothing. So this is the interior of the Ford Puma, everyone. I've not sat in it yet, but I'm already very impressed with how busy it looks. It looks very nice. It looks like a baby sports car, if you want me to be honest. I like it. It's very nice. It's very lively. Look at this. Wonderful seating adjustments, everyone. Wow. Look at this, everyone. The nice interior of the Ford Puma. Very, very good. I'm impressed. Look at this. It's got something nice, and I also like the finishing right here, the chrome touch, and I like this door handle right here. It's very nice, very handy as well. And I've noticed how slender the door is. In fact, when I look at the door from this angle, it really does remind me of the Ford Fiesta. It really does. And this is like prominent evidence. This is based on the Ford Fiesta. And also, if you look at the interior, the layout, there's very strong resemblance to the Ford Fiesta. Oh, yes, everyone. The classic Ford parts. I mean, I remember this. This is so nostalgia. I've seen this a lot on Ford cars, especially the Ford Transit. The buttons, they really remind me of the Ford Transit a bit. It's very nice. And then that. Oh, yes. Nice lighting controls right there. Window controls, mirror controls. Just look at this gear lever, everyone. This is so nostalgia. I've seen this gear lever design on the Ford Transit as well. Like, it's been always with Ford. always. On many Ford models I've seen, they always have this design. Now you have to admire the carbon fiber effect right here. It's very, very good. It pairs very well with the theme of the ST line, and I like the start-stop button located right there. So over here is your climate controls, everyone. How nice and detailed. I like this. And then over here is your air vents, and then over here is your infotainment system. Now the design of this air conditioning system is very interesting, because it does remind me of Volvo cars of the 2000s and early 2010s. It's very interesting, you know, it reminds me of something Volvo would do. And it's not a surprise because Ford owned Volvo some time ago, before the end of the 2000s. They had Volvo. Little storage space down there, and then you do get 2 cup holders of fixed sizes, and you do get some additional traction controls right here. This is very interesting, guys. And then like safety controls and everything. Now let's look at this handbrake for once, guys. Admire it. I like the quality of this handbrake. Right underneath the handbrake there's a micro storage space. My best guess tells me you could use it for coins or cards. It's a bit shallow, so I think coins or something. Now I particularly like this part of the interior. It's quite nice. It reminds me a bit of the Ford Ranger, the pickup truck, and it's very good. I like it. Ford has see, this is what I'm talking about. Ford identity. Ford always has this sort of design. This is a very nice glove box, everyone. It's quite deep, and also there's a separate storage right up there. And then to reach it from the driver's seat, it's quite easy, guys. I really like how they have the hood latch right there. It's very nice, very easy to reach, and also not easy to open with your feet by accident. Very good. I have to confess, the steering wheel feels very nice. It's very good. It's a bit sporty. I like it, and I like how it's got this sort of fabric to it, and it's also, the steering wheel feels a bit squidgy. It's quite good. I like it. It's very nice. Very sporty indeed, and at the same time very road friendly. I find this very cute, everyone. Whilst exploring the interior of this Ford Puma, I noticed some questionable aspects as well. The first questionable aspect I would like to point out is that the location of the 12-volt socket and the USB point right here, they seem a bit as an afterthought. Like usually most brands would always put their USB point and 12-volt socket nice over here in the storage, but for some reason the 12-volt socket is here and the USB point is nice over here, exposed for some reason. It's nicely exposed. Like usually it would be better if they were covered or something, but no, Ford leaves them exposed. This storage space is useful, but it's very shallow. It's deep there, but then over here it's shallow. Like most brands would often do it horizontally, but Ford did it vertically, so it's, yeah, vertical diagonal, I'd say. Now, I'm impressed with the design of the door, but I also noticed some questionable aspects about it. First thing I'd like to point out is that the door bin is it's very nice, but it doesn't really elaborate itself as a bottle holder. It's not very clear if it's meant to hold bottles or not, because usually most brands would have a clear sign, like a circle or something. But with the Ford Puma, it's not very evident, although I see some pointiness right here and there, and I see this sort of diagonal shape going. For some reason, you get this nice squidgy leather right here, okay? Nice and decorated, very pleasant to touch, very, very good. I like it. But then as soon as you move here, it's just hard plastic. Now, whether it's questionable or not can be debatable, but for me, my hand makes contact right here, although my arm lays right here. So, yeah, it would have been better if there was a bit of leather touch right here, but it's not a very big deal. Now, another aspect I found a little bit questionable are the seating adjustments. It's all on crank, so you have to turn this and you have to turn this if you want the seating adjustments. Although it would have been more easier in my opinion if there was a crank, you know, which you have to pull or something, a lever. On a positive note, another thing I forgot to remark to you all is that the length of this door has an advantage. It's quite long, so it covers this part of the interior. So on a muddy day, you don't have to worry about making contact with splashes of mud. Now let's move to the rear of this Ford Puma. This is the rear seat of the Ford Puma, everyone. It looks quite nice. I like the seating. So I have to say my leg room is very good. My knee room can be so and so, depending on the seating adjustment of the driver's seat or the passenger seat for this cause. I feel like my shin makes contact with the driver's seat though, at this part. But it shouldn't be a big deal. I think it's okay so far. My headroom, on the other hand, is very vast. Check this out. I have just about enough headroom, guys. So as you guys can see, over here I have a backseat pocket. Very nice. A nice storage space underneath right here. Quite good. And otherwise I'm impressed with the seating. It's quite cozy. Whilst exploring the rear of this Ford Puma, I noticed some recurring flaws. And the first recurring flaw I'd like to point out is that I'm under the impression there's not much going on in the rear seat. Like, I do not see air vents right there, nor climate controls. Now, whether that's even questionable can be debatable, because this Ford Puma is based on the B segment car, the Ford Fiesta. So therefore, I'm not 100% surprised. Another questionable aspect is this has to be one of the first times I've ever seen no rear handles. Like, I see a handle right there for the driver's seat and passenger seat, but for the rear passenger seats there's nothing. Another questionable aspect I've noticed about the rear seat is that the seat belt over here is exposed by down there, so therefore it's easy for a passenger seat at the rear to annoy the driver or the front passenger with their feet making contact with this seat belt at the edge down there. Like, usually most brands would hide the seatbelt within the B pillar, but in the case of this Ford Puma, the seatbelt is exposed. Over to the boot of this Ford Puma, I have to say it's very good. It's one of the deepest boots I've ever seen for a crossover SUV of this segment, guys. But when I say deep, I mean literally deep. Like, look at this, guys. It's almost like deep down there. And I like how there's an elevation right here. Although you can adjust this by having this adjustable floor go up. So I'm going to demonstrate something to you all. There you go. Now look at this. Doesn't this look fabulous? I think it sure does. And if ever you don't need this elevation, you can put it back down there where you found it. And I like how you get this nice beacon of hope right here. It's very shiny. I mean, as soon as I open this boot door, I'm greeted with this nice beacon of hope. And you do get a 12-volt socket and a nice hook over there for your shopping. Now, the way you close the boot door of this Ford Puma is that you have to pull it from here, but very gently, okay? Do not do it too fast, not too slow. In fact, this boot door is so good that I even had to close it at a slow pace, and it could close anyways. That's amazing. I like it. Check this out, guys. Wow, job done. Here's my conclusion about the Ford Puma. I believe the Ford Puma is a very interesting crossover SUV, particularly because it marks the birth of something different when it comes to Ford. Gone are the days when they built A to B machines that were very fun to drive, but super bad with quality and super bad with a bit of identity, if you know what I'm talking about. Like, they basically, it didn't look anything like what Ford North America was doing, okay? Ford Europe was doing horrible cars. Ford America was doing dream cars. In fact, Ford American cars are Hollywood stars, because every time you watch an American movie, you're sure to see one. No, like no doubts, okay? But now everything has changed. Ford Europe, since the mid-2010s, has been building very desirable cars. And the exterior design is very rich with identity now, and I also like how there's some reference to certain companies which Ford used to own. Like, I like how there's some reference to Aston Martin at the front right here, and in the interior on the air conditioning controls, I like how there's a Volvo reference. This Ford Puma, good value for money for a price of 26,000 euros. You know what, guys? I think this Ford Puma is great value for money. It's not the best, but it is great, okay? It is just great. I have to say I'm very proud of this. I'm very impressed with Ford, how far they've come with this, and you know, think about it. For a price of 26,000 euros, you could buy a full optioned B segment car, or you can buy a Ford Puma ST line, which has just as much amount of options as you would have on a full optioned B segment car. Now, this Ford Puma did not have a sunroof, obviously, but who needs a sunroof when driving this car is already fun enough? How much more fun do you want? It's amazing, guys. And also, the interior was absolutely stunning. Yes, the only questionable aspect I'd like to point out is that the interior practicality solutions were a bit questionable. And also, I was not a fan of the seating adjustment, of how you have to turn a crank. It's better if you had just one lever to do the seating adjustments. But it's not a big deal, everyone. It's only a small questionable aspect. It's of selective taste. You get used to it eventually. Because whatever is questionable about this Ford Puma, as soon as you get behind that wheel and rev that motor, rev this engine, oh, you're gonna forget all those questionable aspects and you're gonna think about the good times that are on the run. Ford has taken its own initiatives for the environment, and it's done it by providing this Ford Puma with a 1-liter engine with a lot of punch. How amazing is that, guys? So you want my opinion of this Ford Puma? Oh boy. Oh boy. I love this Ford Puma. I really, really do, guys. It's fabulous, it's stunning, and it's bringing the mass market cars into a more sporty world. This Ford Puma has a very strong sport vibe. It's like a mass market car that's leaning more into sportiness, with environmental initiatives being respected. Look at this 1-liter engine. So don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and stay tuned for more videos that are on the run.